What's up, guys? Back in the garage, back on the chopper. If you read the thumbnail, you already know what's up. So let's just jump right into it. Let's go. All right, so today we're going to start on the exhaust. As always, a little Loctite. These are bung plugs. And they're for if you have an older bike and you don't have the O2 sensors. You got to plug these holes. Get the flanges on. These are kind of a pain in the neck. Well, that part's not. These little clamps sometimes can be hard to get on. I'm sure there's an easy way to do it. I don't know it. Sometimes I'll grab it with a pair of pliers and pull. So I didn't say, but when you're putting these flanges on, you have to make sure that the opening is going towards the engine so that clamp will fit inside. And it'll grab the lip of the exhaust. So let's go throw this one on. This is for the front cylinder. So we also got brand new exhaust gaskets, front and rear. Just take a screwdriver, pluck out the old ones. Old one, new one. And if you notice, when you have a new one, they're tapered so the exhaust can fit inside the taper. And I cut my finger, putting that stupid flange on. And that just presses in nicely by hand with your thumb. This thing won't stop bleeding. I'm going to throw a piece of electrical tape on it. All fixed up, electrical tape. New flange, new gasket, and we got some new bolts. Well, nuts. All right, that one's on. Loose. It's on loose. Because there's a bracket that goes from this exhaust and a bracket together. We'll get that on there. And they are filthy. So basically, I'm just going to repeat the same thing we did and bring the exhaust pipe over. I have the other exhaust put together. I'm going to take out the old gasket. So obviously this exhaust is made for a Sportster, not a Buell. And honestly, I don't even know what year the Sportster was for. I think it did say it did up to 2004. It gave us a lot of brackets. All right, let me go through these. And once I figure out what bracket goes on here, I'll get right back. All right, so the exhaust is on. The bracket wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It literally was just a tab that went through, actually just like a flat bolt. This went through the bottom exhaust, grabbed the nut, and that was it. Lock washer, a little Loctite, and that's that. Everything's tight, new gaskets. What else are we gonna do? I did the oil change, got that done. New oil filter, got the oil in there. We have to get that carburetor on. Got to get the front brake bled and the gas tank done. So let's keep on trucking. We got the exhaust done. We're gonna jump on the throttle assembly and the carburetor, getting that situated. Ran into a lot of problems, went to bleed the brakes. The master cylinder that I had wasn't big enough to open up all 6 pistons on that 6-piston caliper. So it made a mess of the caliper. I ended up having it just stripped, and I'm gonna run it natural aluminum. So I'm gonna end up running the factory Harley-Davidson master cylinder and clutch perch. So we're gonna have to, take the ugly off of these things, grind out everything down. We'll knock the ends of the levers off, possibly just drill 3 holes in there, get everything to get working. So right now we're gonna jump on the throttle assembly. I do have a throttle assembly. I have a throttle housing for a throttle and a return. And I'm only going to run just the throttle cable, not the return, because I want to kind of keep it as clean as possible. And I think the springs on the carburetors are pretty good. And also, I ended up, this is why it's been taking so long. I ended up ordering a stock carburetor from a Sportster 1200 and not running the Mikuni. The Mikuni carb comes out too far, pushes the air cleaner out. I tried finding spacers to get all that to work, and it's just not lining up right. So I ordered a used from eBay, a used carburetor, replaced the choke cable, and hopefully this thing is set up. The guy said it, you know, it ran, but you never know. Getting it from eBay. So we have our throttle housing, our grip. We have the throttle cable from Drag Specialties, and let's jump into the carburetor setup now. Get the air filter on and get all that done, and then we'll jump into the master cylinder, the clutch housing, grinding all that down and getting all that to look good. So let's get into it. All right, so let's make some moves. See if we can get this bike running. The last 10% of this bike's been really busting my stones. Trying to get the choke knob on that side. When I put that whole housing together where the switch is, I set it up for the Mikuni. So the Mikuni choke came out the right side and then shot to the left. This one comes out the left side and shoots to the right. So I got to get it to loop around like this and still be able to work. There's not a ton of room in there either. May have to drop that coil down to get that to come through. Let me fight with this and I'll get right back to you. All right, so I got that choke cable going through where it's supposed to go. Seems to be working okay. In and out. All right, let's get this cable on. So open the throttle wide open, put the cable in, let go, get that gasket back on in there, smack the camera. All right, throttle cable's on the carburetor. Come back up to the housing, put some zip ties on that, sit underneath the tank. Hopefully that'll be hidden when the tank goes on. I put it on the wrong side of the carburetor. Gotta move it. What a ding-a-ling. All right. That's better. All right, we got that. Adjust the cable. Take the slack out. We'll adjust all that after. We'll make, you know, when the tank is on, and gonna get some zip ties on here for right now. Make sure they're far enough back that the tank hides the zip ties. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Before we do the air cleaner, we need to get a fuel hose on here. I also ordered fuel filter setup, even though there's a fuel filter on the on-off on the tank. So we're gonna get that line on there. You know what? Maybe not. Maybe I won't even use that fuel filter. Let me grab the one off the gas tank. That should be good enough. Pretty decent filter on there. I have to. That line is way too small. So this looks to be like maybe 3/8. This line fits on it perfect. Yeah, 3/8. Wonder what size that is. Much smaller than 3/8, I can tell you that. All right, so I guess we're gonna have to use it. So what I'm talking about is this line right here on the side of the carburetor. Gonna have to run a line up because it's two different sizes. The fuel pepcock is a different size than this is, so this has all different fitting sizes. So I can go larger to smaller just by using the filter. So I'm gonna set that up and get right back to you. So I ran and grabbed some 1/4-inch fuel line. I put that fuel filter together with a 1/4 inch and 3/8. I popped this fitting on, but I'm kind of worried about it leaking. So I went and grabbed all new hose clamps too. I don't mind these with oil, but you know, oil leak you can just wipe up, but a gas leak can be catastrophic. Another pretty cool thing about this clear fuel filter, there's no gauge on that tank, obviously. So to see fuel, you know you got fuel, you didn't run out. But there is a, I do believe there's a reserve, I'm sorry. There's a reserve on this. It's pretty cool. All right, let's get this on the carburetor. This is not the smallest thing. Got to try to figure out a way that'll sit in here nicely. Something like that. Yeah, let's see if that works. Might have to get a little WD on that to get that to seat. Get it sitting on a little bit of an angle. Oh, wow. All right, I think this was sitting right about here. So we're gonna come out and make a loop. Try to get a nice 90 on that. Let's throw that air cleaner. Throw on that air cleaner. All right, so what I'm going to do is I got to Loctite all these. I haven't done that yet. I just mocked it up when I first got the bike together. So I'm going to pause the camera, Loctite all that, and we'll come back and do final assembly on that. So we got all these little stems Loctited on here, and we're going to finish putting stuff together here. I had this problem before when I went to put it on the last time. One of these, I think it's the bottom one, I think they machined it crooked because this only goes on one way, but yet this bottom one never lines up. I don't care how I put it together, it's just never lines up. This right here is why you shouldn't buy everything on Amazon. Something that should be very simple should not be this hard to put together. Oh, that was easy. I loosened up the back one so I could move it, and it actually worked. It wasn't the product, it was the guy driving. It was me. Air cleaner on. All right, let's set up. We're going to get that gas tank all plumbed in. We're going to do this setup first, the crossover. So what I did was I marked with a black magic marker when I had this tank on, lightly mounted to the top. I made a mark where I want the fittings to go. So we're just going to put some pipe sealant on. This stuff is vicious. Get it on your hands, your clothes. It does not want to come off. Any plumber will tell you this stuff is insane. Like, actually, some plumbers get pissed off if you put this on fittings because it doesn't want to come off. All right, so these two down here is the crossover. It's 3/8. I'm going to only hook one side up. We'll measure it for both. And we'll hook up just one. It might actually hit the backbone right there. So that one we will put on when we get the tank on. Let's throw the tank on. All right, we got the tank in place. Let's start Loctiting thread locker up on here. Tank is on. Yeah. On, off, reserve, off, on. Let's go on the other side and we'll finish up those hoses. And this part will be done. Let's finish up the crossover. I think that's a wrap for the gas tank. Nicey nice. All right, let's work on those ugly Harley-Davidson hand controls. Let's start grinding those down. On this clutch lever setup, we're going to take these points off because we're not going to need this anymore. We're going to round this off. We're going to grind this lip off, try to mimic this side to make them look a little bit more like an aftermarket set of hand controls. So I'm going to take off that lever. Then we'll hack that up. Woo, hot! Hot tamale. All right, let's make our way over to the grinder. Try to round all this off now. All right, so there we go. We're drilled out. Looks a little bit cooler. I'm going to spray them black. We got rid of that ugly edge that's on here. Took those end of the levers off, ground that down, drilled some holes in. I think they look much better, a little bit more sleek. I think when they're all, all painted black, I think they'll look good. Nothing else we could have did, man. We could have spent about $300-400 on another set, but I think this is going to work just fine. So this is the finished product with those Harley-Davidson hand controls. Shaved them down, sprayed them satin or glossy black, drilled out the levers around the bike, but I'm waiting for the pressure switch for the banjo bolt so I can do the line down to the front brake. And because we changed to this set, I had to order another clutch cable. That clutch cable is from the Buell. It's got a different setup on it, like a sport bike. But that's what they look like when you shave them down. They don't look bad. They actually look pretty cool. Almost look like they belong on there. I may send those levers out that have powder coated satin black too. I don't know yet. I'm gonna leave them on there for a little bit and see if I start to like them a little bit more. All right, fuel tank's done. We're gonna get some fuel in it. Lower this bad boy down. Stand by. Filling up that filter. So we turned it on. We got gas in the filter. Nothing's pouring out of the carburetor. So that's good. So we got some fuel in it. I'm honestly kind of nervous. Let's hit the choke. That's not good. The battery not strong enough. Let me throw a, maybe the battery, I didn't charge the battery enough. All right, so I have the jump box on the battery now. Let's give it another shot. Let's go, baby! So I got the bike pretty dialed in. I got that carb adjusted pretty good. We'll fire it off one more time. Give it a little choke. Sounding pretty good. A little bit more. Yeah, boy. So that's going to be a wrap for this one. The next episode is the last episode for this chopper build. We got 2 things left to do. No. 3 things left to do. A brake line, a clutch line, and take it for a rip. Take you guys along for the first ride. So don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. We'll catch you on the next one. Later.